Hey everybody, we have an absolute jam-packed show full of tabletop gaming goodness for you this weekend. We've got Leo from Mythic Games on the line. He's going to tell us all about their new upcoming Kickstarter, Darkest Dungeon, the board game. Oh yes, looking forward to hearing about that. And Kromlech have released an absolute ton of orcs onto the world to celebrate Orktober, and we're giving away one of the biggest and baddest of the lot. We're going to give you the chance to win the Deffstomper. Why wouldn't you want this kit? Look at it. Look at the heads. Look at the arms. Look at the panels. It's amazing. Get a comment in below, like the video, and subscribe to the YouTube channel for your chance to win and have a damn good Orktober, because the weekend starts now.
Hi guys, and welcome to the Weekender. Remember, get your likes and your comments in to get yourself that old Deffstomper.
Oh yeah,
right. We released big news this week. We're under new ownership. Myself and Lloyd have sold OnTableTop. Yay! When I say yay, it was look. I have talked about this at length. So if this is something that you're interested in, rather than we have work to get on with here, and this show is our work. So, I mean, we have got a ton to get into this show. I have talked at length about this during a live radio show on Wednesday night. And we have the audio of that is sitting over on Tabletop. So if it's something you're interested in, I was speaking with our community, trying to answer any questions and stuff that I could. It is all sitting there for you. But really, it's business as usual, because this gaming industry doesn't stop for anyone.
Yeah,
and we've got to power on and keep moving with the industry.
we have a post over on the website. We'll link to it in the show notes. But if you want to know more, come on over and click the link, and then we will update this. You'll find Warren's recording and stuff for the radio show, the links to where you need to go, Discord, and all that sort of goodness in this
In
post.
reality, guys, most of you will not notice the difference. All being well, you'll just start seeing lots of cool little improvements, incremental as things get bigger, get bolder, and yeah, we will continue to do our very best. Right. Now I want to get on with the stuff I want to talk about. I got a Prezi this week. Oh, I say a Prezi. Can I call it a Prezi? Yeah, I'm going to call it a Prezi. Yeah. Right. I'm going to share screens, Lloyd. If you can activate that for me, okay? Because I want to have a chat with you guys and the community, because I thought this is as cool a time as any to actually do some terrain planning.
Ooh.
Right? Okay, Now let me show you. So, can you see my screen?
I can.
Right. I've been working on some bits and pieces of dungeons and stuff like that there. And one of my buddies over in New Zealand that works for Battlefront said, "Hey, dude, did you know that we have released some new plastic city ruins? Do you fancy having a play with it? I'll get them to chuck you some boxes of it to see what you can do." Right? Mm-hmm. So this is it here. It's the City Ruins plastic set. So it's all plastic. It's not painted. And this is the kind of stuff that you can do with it. Right? So it's scaled for 15 mil. So perfect for Flames of War. Perfect for Team Yankee. Perfect for me, for a little bit of 15 mil moderns and stuff that I like to do. So it is actually really cool stuff. I have opened up one of the boxes. I've had to dig through it. It's all already clipped. There's nothing on sprues or whatever. And it's just really modular.
Sweet. Is this coming out or is out?
It is out.
Yeah.
It is out.
It is out now.
It's out now. You can get this stuff. So in the box, you get the 4 undamaged walls, 4 damaged walls, 4 corner connectors, 4 straight connectors, 4 roof pieces, 4 floor pieces, 6 room dividers, and a partridge in a pear tree.
That's my favorite bit.
Gotta have the partridge.
Tasty. Right. I got it. And I was thinking to myself, and I was having a chat with Jerry, and I was saying, Jerry, I want to do something different with this. because the obvious thing would be to start building
runes.
Yeah, well, let's start doing Stalingrad or Middle East. But we've been there. We've done all that. Okay? So I thought to myself, right, I wonder what we could do that might be a little bit different. Okay? And then I came up with an idea.
We make Gypsy Danger out of runes and fight kaiju with our giant rune building monster robot.
That's it.
Then I came up with 2 ideas. Do you know, you're joking, Jerry, but every time I go to the toy shop, right, I take my kids to the toy shop. They're the only kids in the world I know that complain about going to the toy shop because I take them to the toy shops so much. And they gurn and they moan in the car, but Danny, we're just going in to look at your stuff. Well,
that's what toy shops are for.
That's what it's for, man. You know, it's like, why
when
do
you're
you
older, you can do this to your children. But for now,
and that's the whole purpose. I had you little blighters in the first place, so you know, consider yourselves lucky.
Now we've got disposable income. We can spend on the things we couldn't buy as children. That's the
you see. You see. However, one of the coolest things, and I keep walking past it. They have a huge King Kong, right?
Yeah.
And they also have, you know, a couple of the really big. What was the dinosaur called? I keep going to call it Dominatrix or something, but I don't think that's what it was called. There's Indominatrix.
Indomitus Rex.
Yeah,
Indomitus Rex, man,
and the new Jurassic Parks. Yeah.
Dominatrix Rex. But they're huge.
They did keep it chained up. So yeah.
But they are huge, and I want to do a King Kong thing. Anyway, I digress.
Weird. No, this isn't. This is weird because just the other day, I found King Kong versus bloody Godzilla, the Japanese movie, on YouTube. Nice. It just popped up, and I sat down for like 2 hours flicking through that. Man, that's just crap. Godzilla constantly doing this. Not quite as amazing as I remember, actually.
It isn't quite as amazing, you know, so anyway, so back to this. Then I got to thinking I wanted to do something different. So I've decided, I'm going to talk to you guys about it. I decided, why don't we do London? Okay. So I'm going to do an inspired by, okay? Because these days I'm not so much into doing like photorealistic kind of recreations of places. I would rather do an inspired by and have the terrain that it can still be kind of taken apart and put down and done differently. So when I said it, John popped in and said, well, actually, World of Tanks did do a London level or a London map. So I thought, awesome, I'll have a look at that. So I'm going to build this as London. Okay, a London-inspired map, and we're gonna have a crack at World of Tanks from Gale Force 9 on this, and you know,
show us the map already.
Yes, well, here we go.
He keeps hovering over it and then moving.
I'm gonna do it. Right, so I went hunting, and I thought to myself, how do I find out the maps of London? And then I discovered this. Google Maps. Wow. But dude, look at that.
The 3D version, yeah.
I didn't know that Google did that.
Yeah.
What kind of a dinosaur am I?
5 years.
Well, okay, fair enough.
This is how we go on holiday in the COVID period as well. So
anytime I was looking for 3D is you take the little man by the head and you drop him and get the street view. That's what I've done. This is
well, Jerry, if you come up one level, now here's the thing. Normally, I'm just looking for places around home here, so it's our arsehole of nowhere kind of stuff, right? And I didn't turn that off. Oh dear. But it's arsehole of nowhere kind of stuff. So all you ever get is these blurry satellite pictures, right? So I went to London, dropped the wee man in. I thought I'll come up and try and get a blurry top-down picture, and it turned into 3D. Like, I mean, I was like, wow.
Wow.
Now, Jerry,
there's Dundalk, the lily whites.
Look at this. See these shop fronts?
Yeah.
Compare that to that.
Yeah,
it's not close, far off, is it?
It's. I Google. See, I went slightly different. I didn't go Google Maps. I went 1940s London Blitz and hit enter on Google search and found places like Oxford Street and.
But here's the thing:
who'd been exploderated. And there's quite a nice one of a shop front like the one in the box, but they all have awnings. So even though they've been hit by bomb blast and like they've all got little awnings. Still attached.
You see, the thing is, I don't want to do it in the 1940s. Okay.
Yeah, well,
right. This is Piccadilly Circus.
To be fair, it hasn't changed much.
That's the beauty of this. No. That is the beauty of this. Is there are parts of London that haven't changed very much. So, off Piccadilly Circus, you get onto Regent Street. Now, Regent Street has this curve, which is interesting. I'm not sure how we could do it, but I'm tempted to have a go at it. But there are other options as well. So I thought, as well as that, what about Trafalgar? Okay. So once again, we could begin the board. So I'm thinking 4x4, 3x4, something like that. I'm thinking what we'll do is we'll 3D print a cool Nelson's column, right? And then have that positioned probably at a corner of the board. Rather than in the center of the board. Because if you try to do it in the center of the board, you end up having to do the art gallery and crap. It
moves up most of the board.
Yeah, I'm not interested in that. I just want it there as a recognizable piece.
You want a Team America London.
Yes.
You squeeze all the landmarks in, even though they shouldn't be that close together. To make it instantly recognizable as London.
But once again, we're not a million miles off being able to do something like that.
Do that border stones there on the left.
Yeah.
Where it's got a curved front, but it is whenever you get up close, it's not actually curved. They're all slab-sided. So you don't have the same curve that you have on Piccadilly there with Waterstones.
But this will be in a ruin format, so you would get away with gaps and stuff.
Yeah, so if you could imagine, you would either come like this kind of direction. So if you can imagine like a square, that would be moved a little bit closer. So you get this kind of thing. Or you maybe go that direction there, but then you're having to have a look at the mall. Which is fun. I love the mall. I think it's a lovely looking thing. I remember whenever I used to race racing cars, I used to drive through these arches all the time at 148 mile an hour. Why do I have a memory of that at all?
I have no idea.
Lloyd.
Because that is the Museum of Happiness. And that just brings you back to your special place.
Project Gotham Racing.
In what? Oh, was it Project Gotham?
Yeah.
On Xbox 360. There you go. Yes. So
I was going to say, citation needed. Warren was not a racing guy.
And they tend to clamp down on people going 150 down the mall.
It's all right. When Warren gets in, he doesn't go to 150.
Oh, very good. 150 kilometers per hour. So, Nelson's column, Trafalgar's another option. And then I thought, oh, hang on a second. I could maybe do some
Polish war memorabilia.
Yeah. Does anybody recognize what this is?
London.
There's the embassy for Ethiopia and Iran.
Oh, here we go.
So that'll be
the Iranian embassy, man.
You're planning on sieging it again?
Yeah, we are going to siege this damn thing. All right. So look, and it is properly Iranian embassy because that's the bit I think that the SAS and all were looking down through, to see down into what the dudes and all were doing, and these are the gardens and stuff to the back. Jeez. So once again, a little bit different, not very shop fronty.
You could try and bosh something together using.
Might be able to recreate something along those lines.
Just keep that picture there and go back to the kit.
Okay.
All right. Now right-click that picture and open in a new tab
Okay.
so we can get a bigger picture of it.
Yep.
Yeah. So it has that line work similar.
It
to
has
what
some of
to
the
what
line
you're
work
looking at
there.
And
Yeah.
maybe you could 3D print some of the column stuff to put in front of the
front door bits and stuff. Yeah.
So watch this, Jerry. If you keep pressing this, do you see that?
Yeah,
If you zoom out, that's how that happens. And then you can come out a little bit further.
Technology.
I know, it's amazing.
I'll never
It's
catch
amazing. It truly is. My difficulty is that it's not a massively interesting environment. So let me show you one other then. Right?
I don't know.
I don't know how
we
we
think
do
about
this.
having a street and then also having a garden area that you could, that'd be spot on there as well,
wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So what about?
Oh, and you can use a bicycle wheel for the London Eye.
Yes, I'll go and nab one of the wheels off my kid's bike.
That's it.
Because if you're playing World of Tanks, being able to go through a street and into a park and hide behind trees or hide in a bush.
That would be cool. Yeah.
Is this still Jay? Is this still to be based back in like the 1940s?
No.
What's the time period?
No. Well, obviously, Team Yankee goes right up to the 80s.
Yeah.
But,
and World of Tanks lies. They just make up maps that they feel like they should make up. So I mean, there's an American Midwest map with tornadoes and anti-air, it's a twister. They've got cricket pitches from southeast of England. they just make maps that are fun to play on. Some are historically accurate and some are just completely out there.
My favorite historically accurate one though is the moon. That's awesome.
But I'm going to chuck it back to the community. My temptation, guys, is to do Trafalgar, I think, because I just think that the Nelson's column could be an interesting one. Or the potential to do Piccadilly and maybe have this big screen as the kind of the feature part. So
I quite like the idea of going, Team America and squeezing in a few of the features, having your Nelson's column, having your street, and then having a chunk of the board off to one side being the park around the eye, and don't worry about the fact that geographically they're not together. Just go, it's fictional London to do tank donuts while shooting at people in.
That's the street that they do all the fantastic Christmas lighting on, isn't it?
Yeah. This is the one that has
like James Bond
Hamley's toy store and stuff is in here somewhere.
It's right there. Well, is that, or is that not?
Is it
Oxford
maybe
Street?
It's further on up? Is it, or is that Oxford Street?
I think it's on Oxford Street.
Oh, it is. It's Oxford Street. Yeah. Regent Street is something different.
I think if I attempt to walk down Regent Street, I'll be hosed away like a cat in heat. Go, no, it's a pour. Get away from our street, pour.
I was like, look at that.
Turn the hose on him.
Look, that's
that's spot on.
That's as darn close as you're likely to get, isn't it? Like, look at that, Jerry. That, right? So let's take a 4x4 of that, right?
Yeah.
We get the curved screen in. You get a little bit of this in. You get some of the curve in.
Yeah.
You get the back streets. You get a thing that comes through here that looks like it must have a tunnel. Oh, yes, Jerry. Look. So there's a tunnel there as well.
Look, cobbling for your cobblestone needs.
A little bit of cobbling. I'll get the wallpaper out for that. And then you've got a bit of this here as well. Now, ignoring that bit, this looks pretty close again. I think with a little bit of play with this kit, we could create something really interesting.
Go back to the other tab, the first tab you opened for the kit.
Yeah.
And scroll down because you'll find big pictures. Keep going. This one here, that's what I'm trying to get to. Yeah, because the roof and stuff's destroyed, so.
Yeah, all of this will be destroyed. So we'll be creating a destroyed version of this. Yeah. So we're not going to try and recreate this in any sense. So this is like World War III kind of stuff.
Yeah, and if you wanted to do that big screen, you could probably print out something and just wrap it, just curve it around a building so it looked like the screen and then cut bits of it out as if the screen's bust.
I wonder how much it would cost to get like
to make Blinky do it in LEDs.
Yeah, but I wonder, could Blinky do it with a flexible OLED kind of a thing, or is that like just a massive?
They're all shockingly expensive at the moment.
Are they very dear? Are they?
All that curvy screen stuff.
Yeah. Well, we'll find out. There might be something that we can do.
If you wanted to go down illuminating it would probably be easier just to make an LED lit box and just put a
curve it and just have it backlit.
A sheet of paper over it that's lit.
Mm-hmm. Well, there you go. So guys, get your comments in. Like, you want to win a Deffstomper, but I want you to win it by talking about this. So yeah, tell me what you think. And yeah, what would you do? Or do you think, or is there something else that you would have a crack at and do this, approach this in a completely different way? Okay, so that's that. We're going to take a swish. When we come back, it's time for Indie of the Week. Right, so Indie of the Week this week was picked by Lloyd, who knows everything about it.
He was telling us he could talk for days about what's in it.
Lloyd has been studying this Indie of the Week for weeks to get ready for this.
Me and Ben removed the Indie of the Week he'd already put in there and went, no, I've got a better one that I need to talk to everybody about.
And at length. Okay, Lloydie, over to you.
This is Shieldwolf Miniatures that we're going to look at today. And they do lots of nice stuff. As
the end of the lecture.
As Ben and Jerry will tell you about that.
Ah, there we go.
Actually, we talked about Mantic Goblins a couple of weeks ago, and then comments popped in and said, but what about the Shieldwolf miniatures? And then Jerry said, yes, they're nice, but they're very, what was it? They're not into tree. What are they?
They're forest goblins, so they're feathery goblins, and also they do 3 of the 5 torsos or 5 bodies come with the heads attached, so they're more repetitive.
But I had a look at that because I was like, ooh, other nice goblins, and then I went, oh yeah, of course, Shieldwolf. We haven't talked about Shieldwolf, so here we are. We're gonna do Shieldwolf, as Jerry will tell us about now.
Oh yeah. So Shieldwolf
looks like that, is it, Ben? Did you hear that? Did you? How about this? Let's start off by looking at their sci-fi range. But you don't have the links open for that, do you?
No,
you didn't even realize that was there.
What you guys didn't realize is whenever Wayland bought us, they sent Lloyd a gift in the post, a book called The Art of Delegation.
So anyway, Shieldwolf Miniatures, a lot of people will know them because they do a lot of stuff through Kickstarter over the last couple of years. they've been focusing in on doing loads of really fascinating sort of plastic kits, and they've done some resin characters and that kind of thing as well. And a lot of it's tailored towards those kind of people that went off to do stuff with the Ninth Age. So a lot of those people that sort of moved away from Warhammer Fantasy 8th edition and started exploring the Ninth Age rules that were brought up together by the community and stuff. These are the kind of companies that came out of that and provided all the stuff for you to make your armies of orcs and goblins and Norsemen and that kind of thing going forward. As you can see here, one of their big ranges is they've got the mountain orcs. So they've got like really badass orcs, but with a little bit of a twist to them. So they're all a lot more savage, lots of furs and all bone weapons and that kind of thing as well. One of the things I particularly like about these is that while they have a lot of the stuff that's very typical of orcs about them, if you know what I mean, so, big bulging muscles, bone weapons, that kind of thing, they've done some really weird and interesting things with the faces. So they actually look significantly more evil than you would notice with other orcs, which I think is really cool.
They're very bestial.
Yeah. Yes, they're very bestial, with the big, huge tusks and massive fangs and everything as well.
I think it also, you don't really see it on those models so much on the resins, but they do plastic set, and the plastic set is Canadian. By that, I mean they're like Terrence and Phillip from South Park. The bottom jaw and the top half of the head are separate, like which means So that's a resin version, but the plastic kits, you can really you can overemphasize the jaw openness.
That's really cool.
Because of the way they've made the plastic kits, which is an unusual take. But I suppose they wanted to have that really feral, longer sort of snout with the big sort of alligator-like
a point of
jaws.
difference as well, I guess.
Yeah.
I like them. I really like them. Look at that.
And they do this. They do an interesting mix of resins and plastic. So occasionally they'll go to Kickstarter to get a plastic set tooled, but they start off by producing stuff in more limited numbers in resin to test the market. So you've got the orcs and the goblins are all like that.
I like it as well. This guy here, he looks a bit like the Oni demon out of Big Trouble in Little China.
He does have Oni kind of look, doesn't he?
Yeah. He crawls out of the truck at the end, the big red dude. Is this their plastic stuff, or is there...
That's a Mounted Orc army deal.
Yeah. Well, let's let that load and I'll come back to that. Let's get this up, Jared. Because the orcs do look sweet. This looks epic.
I'm pretty sure those are plastics. So the majority of it is resin, and then you get a spray of the plastics to do the crew for that.
Oh, that's weird.
I'm very negative of them because it's the light army.
You can see the plastic kits up at the top there, just like a little bit of a teaser of them.
These guys here.
Yeah. So they do them as those kind of like traditional sort of multi-part plastic on sprue style jobbies. So you can, bash them together however you want with the weapons and all the different head options and things you need. And as Jerry was saying, posing the heads and stuff, which is really cool. So
I assume is this a resin kit here then? Would this be posable?
Yeah, I think it's a mix.
Well, here, if you click on it, Lloyd, you'll find it. Look, let's see that third image across.
Here we go.
So the
polythurane resin.
And then I think again you've got
looking at the lower jaw here, it looks like that sort of posable the way you were talking about there, which is really cool.
The same as the big bagoth or whatever it's called.
Let's see if I find these plastic kits. No. Oh well. Moving on. So that's orcs. Okay. They also do goblins. We may as well look at the goblins too, considering that's what sparked this.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So they're goblins again. They kind of go down the route of more foresty style goblins, as Jerry was saying earlier. So you've got lots of feathers and masks and that kind of thing, which I think is really cool. But then you've also got slightly more standard goblins, like this fellow here, for example, with a massive bloody axe and stuff.
I like that.
Yeah.
That is a cracking looking goblin.
Yeah. Because I was looking at these when people were talking about the Mantic goblins, and I immediately thought, you know what, get both. And that way you've got your goblins from different regions.
The resin heroes are nice. I don't like the forest goblin look as much, but some of them have less than others. The goblins mounted on the big multi-eyed toads are quite good.
That's good.
That's just
I do like that toad.
But I think that styling would go really well with the Mantic stuff.
Yeah, it's very similar. It's very pointed nose, big.
And that way,
the big noses.
You could have two very distinct units, or two sides to your army, as if two tribes had come together.
When they go to war, then.
Yeah, when they go to war, Lloyd, yeah.
Too trash.
Oh, dearie me, my.
So, yeah,
No, but they are really cool. And what I think one of the things that's really nice about them is they allow you to look at goblins and greenskins in general in the light that they should be, where they're just packed full of character and they're fun to paint, even if you're working on like a big mass of them at the same time. Because I think there's always something fun and interesting to paint on a goblin or an orc, and that's what makes the tedium of going through huge ranks of infantry really, really fun. So
Yeah,
these flipping toads are amazing.
I love them. I love them.
Okay.
That
is Blinky. He's got 3.
This one is amazing. I love this.
With the teeth, yeah. There's this big grin.
yeah, so obviously you'd use those as your sort of like squigs, I guess, if you were putting them together into a Warhammer army.
Perfect for squigs, yeah.
Which I think is neat. The other thing as well is like, because they've done so many different characters, another option that I've seen a lot of people going for with things like this is they use them for role-playing stuff as well. I mean, obviously, as Jerry would say, miniatures in a role-playing game. How dare you? But a lot of people have been using these to be, act as their like characters in dungeon delvers and role-playing games, which I think is really fun. Especially since they're all so expressive, which I think is really cool.
Jerry can't talk about the whole miniature role-playing game.
I really can.
However, Jerry has more miniatures in his collection than any other bearded giant on the planet.
Yeah, but I don't use them for RPGs. I have standards.
You tell us that.
The standards
you
are
tell
low,
us that, but I bet you on a Friday night you're sitting there with your minis out, just like me, going pew 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 pew. Oh, Luke, run to the TIE fighter and get off. You know you are. That's because
I've never ever role played Luke getting off in a TIE fighter.
You haven't played then.
Here's one of the plastic kits that you can see as well, just as an aside. So there's the sort of breakdown of the sprues you get for those. Standard sort of setup for a lot of stuff that would come in plastic nowadays. So you've got the body and the legs together. Some of them have got the heads on, as Jerry was saying. Then you've got the arms that you just socket onto the side and go for it. So
yeah. Nice. A few more picks, because if you're going to make such a nice quality product, really show it off, guys. Show it off, for goodness sakes. Right.
We talked about it last week. So,
Where do you see this realm here, or this range here? Then,
I'm just going to warn every indie manufacturer out there.
I'm going to slag them off.
Indie of the Week isn't going anywhere, so prepare yourselves all to get a bollocking from Lloyd.
So this is their sort of like Shield Maiden Northern Army sort of dealio that they've been working on here. So a lot of it's to do with sort of like barbarian Norsemen from, charging down from the mountains to battle against the humans and the orcs and goblins of the lowlands and stuff. And as you can see, have some really fun little monsters and stuff in this one, which I think is really cool. I do like a good troll or a giant. So,
it's a Yeti, man.
Yeti.
Yes, I see that now. Yeah.
Hairy Yeti. Ben, do I need to sit you down and give you your Sasquatch education?
I've already done Sasquatch 101. I don't want to. Okay,
it's just indomitable.
Very good.
Well, look, man, I will take you through advanced hairy beast. Okay.
But one of the things they did for this particular range is they had a plastic kit for this too, and I believe Justin, back when we were talking about Fabled Realms with Foreground, he made his warband out of the plastic kits for the Shield Maidens. For that, and this is one of their newer ones as well that they did for the Northern Alliance. So.
I think I might have some of these kicking around.
You probably did. We probably have boxes and boxes of them.
Not the Shield Maidens, but I might have some of those Forest Goblins kicking around.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, so.
Nice. That'll be where I remember Shieldwolf from.
Yes, because they landed over with tons and tons of boxes of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was an amazing weekend.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah.
Mostly because I filled all those boxes with miniatures. Amazing.
Who else have we got then?
So you got a whole bunch I don't know which one's up next.
Let's do ogres. What do you think?
Okay, yes. Yeah. Yeah. So in the light of Games Workshop not particularly providing too many different variations on the ogres, the guys at Shieldwolf decided to do exactly that. And so you have a whole bunch of these beefy cakes. Beefy cakes? I meant to just say beefcakes, but beefcakes ready to go on the tabletop. So if you're looking for some ogre mercenaries to throw into your armies and that kind of thing, you've got those options there. I've recently been looking at stuff like Mordheim and things, and it would be really nice to have, particularly that guy on the left with that big plumed helm. Would be fun for like a Marienburger ogre or something.
Conquistador-looking fellow.
I like him.
Your other left.
Lloyd's punching
Yeah.
up.
That one.
You like him because you can see the resemblance to yourself.
Is that what it is? I'm looking at him going, he is a handsome dude right there. Oh, yeah.
Oh, we got him big.
There we
Oh,
go.
I like that.
Rocking out of his
like
mall.
that.
That is such a cool range.
I think the thing that I quite like about these as well is that, again, they've continued to keep that dose of character and sort of narrative into the models. Like you can see like how they're moving, and sort of you get a bit more sort of in-depth look at their character. Like that guy on the left, he looks a little bit like a sort of like a dumbfounded guy that they've just given the blunderbuss.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I can't talk. And on the right-hand side, you've got the guy who's slightly more martial and takes it seriously and that kind of thing. So
You know what you could do with
You
these?
can't stalk. So as well as advanced hairy beast, I need to give you through stalking 101 as well, yeah?
I do, yeah. I don't know what's wrong with me today.
You could combine them, Warren.
You know what
Stalking the advanced hairy beast.
Yeah.
Again, stay away from it.
Do you know what you could do with these? Alternative Ogrins.
Yes, you could.
That
Oh,
would
yeah.
be so cool.
They'd also be great in Reich Busters.
You're
So
looking
they
at the
would
guy with
make
the beret.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this guy.
Yeah,
Such a cool range.
love that. Can we have a look at the Drakentropi Kingdoms?
Yeah, so that's your lizard men. So if you're looking for lizard men and sort of slightly quirky reptiles and amphibians, this is the option to go for on this front as well. So
Oh, yeah.
This is cool, but it's about to get a whole lot cooler when he takes his mask off.
When he takes his mask off.
Yeah, that's him all
Yeah.
masked, and now we get to
All
see
right.
him in his lizardy form.
I like him in his lizardy form.
Where do you see this one?
David
I
Icke would be
love
proud.
this.
Oh, man. That is
Too
awesome.
many eyes for a femur.
That's exactly how I think the queen looks when she takes her lizard mask off.
Yep. You are absolutely right. That is Her Highness right there. Oh, sorry, Her Majesty. Her Majesty. I've got to get that right now.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
there's
yeah.
protocol.
Because that would be the thing they would be annoyed about if they ever stumbled across this.
Well, you know that Harry and Meghan are watching this, like, and Meghan, she's not saying very much because she doesn't like to cause controversy, just like me.
That's very
That's
true.
true.
Very true.
we've always thought of you as the Megan of beasts. Yeah.
I'm currently sleeping with Harry and Meghan.
Are you really?
Yes, I woke up this morning to find them in the bed beside me because my missus was reading the book, and I rolled over onto this book, and they're Harry and Meghan staring back at me. So you heard it here first, peeps.
We wish we hadn't, but we did.
Yeah.
Should we take a look at sci-fi?
Yeah, I was going to say,
Wait,
just
this is
just
amazing.
quickly.
This is one of my favorites.
Yeah, I was just going to say, just quickly, because of like the sort of monstrous nature of these and sort of the way that they look like those, old Fimir of Warhammer past. You could use these in your dungeon delves and that kind of thing, which is really cool. So not just a use on the battlefield as a big monster unit.
Yeah.
Sweet. You wanted to do sci-fi, did you say?
Yeah.
Can you do undead first?
Yes, can do.
And I take it Ravs or elves, are they?
I think there's a lot
I
of
don't think they
genies
are.
and stuff in
Well,
that collection,
yeah.
actually. So yeah.
The undead.
Elementals.
There's not much on the undead. Is
They're
that
more,
it?
they're more like kind of cultists. Go to that heavy skeleton infantry. Let's get into that.
I do
I
like
like
it.
those.
Is there a bunch of bat wings and stuff on there?
No, they just have
I
just
think
have
they're all
major
evil
shoulder
based.
pads.
Yeah. So they're the Joan Collins
That's
of
it.
undead. Yeah, that 1980s kind of.
They're on their way to Dallas.
I think they're a set that look better determined on how you paint them. Like, for example,
Yeah.
that set that's done in the purple, I think look way better than the one that are done in that slightly more sort of garish color scheme. Like
Yeah.
there, I can't tell what's what. Whereas if you look at the other one, you're like, oh, I can actually tell what's each individual soldier and that kind of thing. I think that sort of like more dulled down look actually works a lot better for those.
Yeah, I like the other kits better, but where do you see this stuff then? I gotta show you this one. You'll love
But yeah, so
it.
these are the gin and stuff from the Avarez.
These are the elementals.
Look,
Oh, I
check
want
this out.
these.
Oh,
I like this. Now, the great thing about
It's got
elementals
edge.
is that they'll work perfectly in my 15 mil dungeon as well.
yeah.
That's true.
elementals can be whatever size you want them to be. Oh, I love those. Oh yes. Oh God, yes.
Sweet.
Yeah.
This guy here. Oh,
That's exactly what that guy's saying. Oh God, yes.
As
Oh,
he
here we go.
scratches his back with his big
Yeah.
curvy sword.
Oh, I like this. Bring me up me fire elemental there, Lloydie.
is there a fire one? Oh, here.
Yep, he's there. The Djinn of Fire.
You know how many years ago we talked about doing a Prince of Persia style
Yes.
tabletop? Use these and do it a lot more sort of wider Arabic themed kind of thing. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The hope was to do a Prince of Persia participation game that we take to Salute. And who knows? Who knows? You know, when the world gets back to some form of normality, maybe it'll be on the cards again. We will
These
have
could
to
be
wait and see.
really cool minis for that, because he looks a lot like the guy who like abducts the princess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's another one that's going to come up here in a sec when it finishes loading,
ISIS.
which looks even more. Oh, well, he didn't
No.
load. Oh well. Big Eagles.
Yep. Right, let's have a look at sci-fi.
Do I have a link to sci-fi?
No,
It's just
but
on the
I
top-
did this
top
deliberately. It's
bar.
on the top right.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, one eagle. There we go. Look at that. Oh, amazing.
That's, if only they had two of those, they could have.
Where do we go?
Right hand side. Right hand side.
No, your other right. Still more right.
Oh,
There we go.
sci-fi.
There we
There
go.
we go.
Yeah.
There's a reason for this because we looked at the barbarian northern Shieldwolfy people, but they did this Sisters of Faith, and it was actually a dual Kickstarter. So there is a fantasy version of these coming at some point as well, to make like a female paladin army.
Let's see if
Yeah.
I can make that big.
So it's a mixture of resin vehicles. So you could do your own, not Space Wolf female Space Marine army using these things
Like
to
that.
replace your rhinos and razorbacks, and then using the I don't know what they call Sisters of Wolves.
Yeah.
Sci-fi troopers, not as Sisters of Battle, but as Space Marines.
Mm-hmm.
That is cool.
Just for a different feel to your 40k forces. And it'll be interesting because, like I say, the core kit is also going to be a Paladin fantasy version as well, which may or may not be out. Trying to remember.
I
But
really
it's,
like
it's
that.
different.
Is it one kit makes 3 tanks or 3 different options you have to order?
Different
That-
options.
That's cool. Let's see if we can find that. So we've got these
So
ladies.
that's the plastic Sisters of Faith
Yeah.
infantry. So there was a sci-fi or a fantasy version. So the core plastic set, body-wise, I think remains more or less the same because they're not overly sci-fied. They're not covered in pipes and the like.
Yeah.
But then the fantasy version will be just sword and board and cloaks kicking around. You can definitely see that they will fit into either or.
Yeah, you just sort of change where the gun was strapped to the standard bearer there, and you would have been fine. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I just heave that in the bin, stick a sword on her, and away you go.
Mm.
And again, it's the same sort of mix of resin miniatures and then sort of hard plastic for the core of the force.
Mm.
They're a very different style. Like some
They-
of them are really big and some are really
Yeah.
slender.
They kind of remind me a little bit. Was it called Dark Age or something? And it was the game that was taken on by Simon eventually.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The bigger warriors there remind me of the models from that range.
Yeah.
Strangely enough. Yeah.
GW did the same, I think, whenever they did the Sisters of Battle. The Sister Superior for the Repentia was a big fat figure, and then all the rest of the Sisters of Battle were very lithe and slim. So apparently when you get to the point where you're having to whip the other sisters for not being good enough, you just eat all the cake. That's how it goes. It's like I have to spend all day whipping these girls, and as such, I burn a lot of calories. So I get all the cake in response. And maybe they've just gone the same way with these. They've decided she gets the biggest gun, and therefore nobody's going to stop her from taking all the cake.
Yeah.
Here's the gun, or not the.
Like that,
here's the
yeah.
tanks. This is cool.
Really, I like what they did with the tank design for it. It's a chunky little monkey,
Mm.
but still fairly unique. I think
It looks beefier than your standard Rhino in just scale, doesn't it? Which is good. So
is everything in sci-fi this sisters-y looking stuff?
Yeah, that's the only thing they've done so far. Was I think so was the for the last Kickstarter they ran was a split between that and the Fantasy Paladins.
Guys, that is Shieldwolf, our Indie of the Week for this week. Go and check them out and give them some of your love. Right, I think it's time for some of Ben's news. Coming to you from the center of Northwestern Europe. Covering board games, war games, card games, and all that you love. It's the news.
So we're back with some news, and we're kicking things off with Warhammer 40,000 and some stuff from Games Workshop. For those people who are collecting Necrons and Primaris Space Marines, and just Space Marines in general, you've now got some new stuff coming up for pre-order this weekend.
More new Space Marines. Wow, cool.
Who would have thunk it, right? But don't worry, there's going to be even more new Space Marines on top of your Space Marines you already have. But anyway, we're starting off with Necrons first, as they get a new Mahusive model, as Games Workshop will want to do with their armies right now. And this is the Catan Shard of the Void Dragon. So for those people who are in the know with Warhammer 40,000, the Void Dragon for a long time was meant to be the sort of sleeping god beneath the surface of Mars that the Adeptus Mechanicus sort of worshipped effectively. Then maybe that machine spirit kind of thing in the background. Well, this Shard of the Void Dragon is now an actual model as part of the Necron army. And as you can see here, it's a pretty towering piece of kit. I think it looks really cool. Obviously, it's very different from the shards that we have already, since they were made back in the sort of late 90s, early 2000s. But it's a fascinating looking model. I challenge you to transport it anywhere, but it's a very nice one all the same.
True.
Sell figure case especially for it, don't worry.
No, just buy an Xbox Series X, rip all the guts out and just shove that in there. Perfect.
Yeah, you could do that, yeah. So as is fitting for the Void Dragon, its abilities are very much centered around the idea of messing around with machinery. It can almost sort of like take apart vehicles from afar with its mind, and then use the bits from destroyed vehicles in order to repair itself.
Like this sort of stuff then that's going on.
So that's parts of a destroyed Necron sort of vehicle, sort of monolith, etc., that have been sort of torn apart and built into the Void Dragon itself, which is pretty awesome. It's very cool idea.
Have you guys ever played Destiny, like the first one?
I have played Destiny, and it does have that vibe, yes.
What are they called again? The Ghosts, or not the Ghosts? Oh, there's a faction in that has
Destiny Angel, Harmony Angel.
Sort of,
that's Captain Scarlet.
Sort of digital cubey thing going on.
I know what you mean, yes, but I can't remember the name of them.
I have noticed they are really leaning into the digital pixelation.
They are, yeah.
It's like trying to watch Dave at 10 o'clock at night. I just keep getting this digital interference kicking in.
Yeah.
I don't know why they've done it. If they are an ancient race who have managed to come up with a way of putting their minds into essentially robot bodies to preserve themselves forever, the fact they haven't managed to scrub out digital interference from Wi-Fi and broadband seems a bit iffy. I'm just,
I don't know. I quite like it. I think it's really cool. I'm looking forward to the Minecraft edition. When they go full 8-bit, that'd be really cool.
Right, what else have they got?
So as well as that, they've also got a couple of new releases, both in vehicle form and terrain form, and also monstrous form. So these are your Ophidian destroyers, or as other sort of older Necron players would tell you, wraiths.
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
For you to use in your games. Thankfully, these ones are made of plastic and not made out of metal, so they fall over all the time. But these are very, very cool looking. They do exactly what wraiths used to do in the past. They can phase through reality and terrain and that kind of thing, and strike at your enemy from behind where they least expect it.
Yeah.
So
Remind me though, wraiths did they used to have like these big gun wing scythe?
They used to have the like claws and the talons, but they didn't used to have those big like blades that you see there that are now sort of more of a feature of the Necrons this edition.
They always looked Edward Scissorhands. I got that.
Yes, they did.
So this side thing, is this kind of new?
That's new, yeah, based on a lot of the stuff that we've seen for like the destroyers with their like tri-legs and that kind of thing. So they've gone down that route with those, which is very cool.
That's kind of sweet.
Yeah, well, it sort of brings a lot more of that sort of like sort of what's the name of the blade technology that they use? It's called it's got a specific name. I can't remember what it is.
I want to say it's Catan Phase Blade.
Yes, there. So it's got that kind of phase blade thing going on, which I think is really cool.
May not be called that anymore, but it used to be called that.
Yeah.
Back
and as
when
well
I was
as
a kid.
Sorry, yeah.
No, they're an interesting unit that they've added simply because they tear pocket dimensions, step through and reappear behind people, and then immediately will charge them and mess them up. they are not a unit that your friends and family are going to want to see on tabletop anytime, ever.
Yeah,
that's all right. I'm pretty sure the Primaris will be able to kick them.
Very
to
true.
the curb.
As well as the Ophidian Destroyers, you can also pick up a new version of the Monolith, which I think looks a lot better than the original version that we saw in plastic a couple of years ago. A lot more going on in it. I like the idea that it's kind of got those two layers to it. So there's the outer shell of armor, and then there's that kind of relic underneath it, which I think is really cool. I like that the big gate has been sort of replaced with that kind of crackling energy thing, which adds a little bit more dynamism into the mix as well.
Do you know what would be really cool?
As well too.
Is if Games Workshop actually created some lighting kits. I think it'd be really cool. I know we thought the Giants at 120 odd quid last week was maybe asking a bit, but something like that, it might actually be worth paying a bit more if there was like a lighting kit edition and you didn't have to go figure it all out. It'd be really cool because let's face it, LED technology's really come on these days. That'd be so cool.
It would be, especially if imagine that crackling away in the background behind the power cells and stuff.
In a package like that, you'd have plenty of room for your batteries anyway.
Very true.
Put one of those big square bricks.
Get a car battery in that.
The monolith needed an upgrade. The monolith hasn't aged particularly well. I'll be honest. Of all of the model kits of Workshop, the monolith hasn't aged very well. So this is a good upgrade. This is a good upgrade. I just wonder, is there anything that we could do to our monoliths to try and make them not look just so crap, compared to this? It's you put one of these down on the table and then suddenly your other monoliths start to look particularly sad. They do look very sad.
Very true.
I can't think of any other model in the entire 40K universe that looks just quite as sad compared to its.
I think it just looks so plain.
Right,
that's
there,
the old
there you
one.
go.
The old one, yeah.
I've just googled it real quick. If this is your image, nice photo by the way.
To be honest, it's not. That's a well painted one actually. So that doesn't look as bad as for
as
example.
You would remember.
It's like, sorry, John, but yeah.
I don't even think that's the last monolith. I think that might be the precursor. There was a monolith that then had a man being electrified because he was trapped at the top of it. Yeah. So I think that's the original with the clear green bars. And there's another one after that.
There's another one after that. Yeah. Is that not the megalith?
I have no idea. They all start to blend after a while. They all look alike. These ancient Necron tombs.
Okay. Right. Move on.
So the final bit of stuff for the Necrons was the Convergence of Dominion, which is a new set of sort of like buyable terrain for your army that you can drop to the tabletop. These sort of can be placed around by your cryptex to sort of buff your Necron forces. And they also allow you to teleport your Necrons around on the tabletop if you weren't having fun doing that with monoliths and stuff already. So that's all the stuff for the Necrons. On the Space Marine side of things, we got a new Primaris Tech Marine, which is effectively the version of a Space Marine that has been sent off to a camp by your buddies and comes back telling you about all the new things he learned from his new friends. And you suddenly start to think maybe he's a heretic. So that's your Primaris Tech Marine that you can pick up, festooned with weapons and a big new cog axe, as you can see there. Very cool indeed.
Has he changed much?
He's bigger.
Yeah, he's bigger. The sort of pose has been tweaked, and I believe the gun on his shoulder is a little bit different as well nowadays. But it's basically just to make it a bit more dynamic, I think.
Won't be a bolter anymore. It'll be the Primaris bolt rifle combo thing.
And he is also joined by a piece of terrain that you could buy for your Space Marine armory called the Hammerfall Bunker, which we saw back in the day during the previews in our sort of pre-COVID world.
The Dawn of War bunker, as I like to call it.
Yes. So yeah, if you've played Dawn of War, then you'll be very familiar with the look of these, and also basically StarCraft. If you've played StarCraft, you'll see how familiar these are to some things from that. But yeah, it can come with 2 different configurations. You can either get it with bolters sticking out the side, or with flamers, depending on how you want to defend your objective.
Do we have the picture of that? No. Okay.
No. But as well as that, just a quick one as well.
Yeah.
For Aeronautica Imperialis, the biggest plane to date, there is the Orc Mega Bomber for that. So if you want to pick up a new ship, that's coming out very soon. And this one comes with a nuke, as you might imagine. So yeah, very
of course.
Cool indeed. Yeah.
Well, let's imagine it is just a nuke, and they just deliver it by crashing into things.
Yeah, I was going to say, in other sort of quick Warhammer 40,000 news, Warhammer Day is coming at the end of October on the 31st.
Pile of standalone games, apparently.
Well, yes, there's going to be some cool stuff happening on that.
Will this be more time, Ben? I
really hope it is, yeah. But on Warhammer Day specifically, you'll be able to pick up a new Terminator Chaplain called Terminator Chaplain Tarentus, who will be available from stores and online until the 8th of November. That's the dude there. Mm-hmm. And before anybody asks, he's not chapter specific. He can be used with anything.
And he's not Primarist either.
Well, I think he is, but...
What, is he bigger?
He does look a bit chunkier than your normal Space Marine boy, even in his Terminator armor there. So, yeah.
But chaplains tend to look that big. I tell you what, it's worth buying your chaplain, because last time I tried to bash a chaplain, everybody laughed at it because I stuck a book on his head.
Why would you not?
Because thinking he's a chaplain. And yes, the librarian. Yes, I'm getting confused. He looks well dopey, to be honest.
I'll say, if that chaplain's only available on Warhammer Day, that's a good thing, because I wouldn't like to have to see that 365 days a year. That is appalling. The last Terminator chaplain they made,
it was very cool,
gorgeous. I actually bought one, even though I'd stopped playing 40k.
No.
I don't know how many years ago. I bought one. He's in the little drawer over there, and he was stunning. And that just looks terrible in comparison. They could have just made that one, and because it was a metal miniature, they could have just went, let's just take that sculpt and make it in plastic.
Don't lie, Jerry. Don't lie. We know what's behind that blanket. It's not Star Wars.
No.
See if that blanket ever falls down.
That way.
No. There's another set of shelves behind there, covered in Games Workshop armies. Jerry's working on.
Games Workshop stuff's in the loft. I was thinking about digging it out and selling it. This is never going to get touched. But anyway, I digress.
This weekend is also the Warhammer preview, where they're going to be doing some new stuff to do about all their sort of, I'm going to say it in air quotes, specialist games. So for things like Warcry and Necromunda and all that kind of thing, Blood Bowl, that kind of stuff, they're going to be doing a whole show dedicated to that. So if you want to watch that tomorrow, then you can go ahead and do that too. Which is very cool.
I think Battlefleet Gothic will get resurrected before more time.
Man.
I just have a feeling.
Yeah.
Let's show off this Orktober stuff from Kromlech.
Yes, of course,
because it is gorgeous.
So Kromlech will be known to a lot of people, as we talked about them a couple of months ago now in our Indie of the Week, as the people that do awesome terrain but also loads of orcs. And so because they make orcs, Orktober is their best time of year. And so for this year, they've been doing a whole bunch of stuff, including the Deffstompers, one of which of these kits we're giving away as part of this show in the competition. It can be configured in 2 different ways, with both a melee and ranged option.
Yeah, let me bring up the site for that, because when you're over here, you get the bodies, so you can pick the 2 different bodies. And you can pick a variety of arms and stuff to go with it. And then you can pick the heads. Yes. And what's really cool is, when I first looked at the kit, I didn't realize straight away that this was an HDF kit. I was like, as soon as I seen the pics, I was like, we definitely have to go here and show people it's HDF, because that was a surprise to me. Yeah. Is there resin bits on this as well as HDF, or is it all HDF?
So the majority of it is HDF, but then there are occasionally little tiny sort of nubbins and bits that are made out of resin, just to kind of give that extra bit of detail to things. As well. So, but in the main, it's HDF stuff for a lot of this.
Yeah, an impressive feat. I had no idea that was HDF.
No, it didn't occur to me at all. Never even crossed my mind.
Yeah. And one of the cool things about this as well is that, as Lloyd's showing here, you can make these Deffstompers out of, you can either buy them just as a kit together, just as if you wanted to buy that specific model, or you can buy all of the different components individually. So you can buy the bodies, the heads, and the arms, and then make whichever kind of Deffstomper you want. Or you could obviously then take this and kit bash it with a bunch of other stuff from your Orc collection, because people love doing that when they're playing Orcs, and make something entirely unique as well. So
Wow.
Especially with the arms, because I think the arms have a locking lug system, which means you could swap in, swap out.
Yes.
So you can buy the different arms and then go, well, this week I'm going to put a lifter dropper on there, or this week I'm going to go all close combat and just rip people's faces off.
They have another thing for this. I don't know if it's in the article. If you scroll down, they have almost like a construction bay.
Yes, they do. So if you keep going down, Lloyd, you'll see it. Yeah, past all the arms and the heads, there's lots of these. So
you need to get past the Deffstomper.
Keep going. Yeah, keep going. You'll know it when you see it, Lloyd.
Oh, just let everybody see, because we just showed them off in the HDF format, so I want to see them off painted as we go.
So there you go. There's the Deffstomper construction yard, which is as big as a Deffstomper, as you might imagine, and would be a really nice sort of centerpiece unit.
Wouldn't it though? Lloyd, go follow the link through to the construction yard there to see what other pictures they have of that. So,
it's, you can't really see it from there. Assuming there's a rear picture. There we go. So the actual Stomper sits in there with that yard essentially fitting around it, because they're building it up, and you've got the gantry crane on top,
like a Jaeger yard from Pacific Rim. Yeah,
that's what I like. I would love to play a scenario where the Stomper is in there, right, and the orcs have to fire it up, and you're trying to destroy it before they get it fired up.
And then get your giant marching out of that robot in there to punch it in the face in time. These are the questions. These are the questions.
Yeah.
It's amazing what they've done with the HDF or MDF kits, because we've seen somebody in our project system had painted a full orc village or fort, and I think we looked at it for community spotlight on the XLBS one week, and at the time none of us had realized it was actually a wooden kit, because it doesn't look like it. Where they've gone and added little, just snippets of like tread plate or crow's feet, or the sort of mesh. They've just spots in there to make it look like you've got different textures that have been overlaid. You look at it and you're going, well, that could easily be plastic or resin or whatever it happens to be. But
I've got to say that
outside the box.
That is one of the most impressive HDF kits I have ever seen, because it completely we've been looking at that on and off for a while, but all I'd seen was the painted versions, right? And I utterly assumed that it was resin, that it was a resin kit. They've completely blown me away with that. Wow, absolutely wow.
Yeah, get your comments and subs then if you want to win it.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
As well as the sort of HDS stuff, they've also been releasing a whole bunch of their resin miniatures as well. So they've designed these killer gnaws, which are their sort of take on squigs, but they're squigs with a little bit of a twist, because obviously you've got the big monstrous beastie with all the teeth, but then they've decided to bolt guns and weapons onto the side of them as well. So if you want to add something a little bit more quirky into your army, very cool.
It's a great way of doing killer cans for an orc army that aren't massively technically savvy.
One of the things that has always been sort of like almost like a little bit of a dog whistle for me to come back into the world of Warhammer 40,000 has been the idea of making a like a Gretchen Grot army, and these would be perfect for that, because you could replace all of the big mechanical stuff with these and use them instead, which would be really fun. They've also got the 2 versions of the Orc Freak, so your Psychers to use in game. So there's a collector's version of it, and then there's also a 2020 version of it as well. Both come with sort of different head options for you to throw into the mix, which is pretty awesome.
What's this guy doing?
He's trying to hold him back.
Hold him down.
Hold me back! Hold me back!
He may just be a case that he's just trying to stop him from floating off because of all the weird boy energy in him.
Yeah.
Just tether him down like a kite.
finally, only available through their web store. Oh, sorry, I forgot about this.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Whoa.
Yeah. So that's their
That's not
big.
ATF.
No. So that's their Nozilla. It's like a little bit of a take on a Squigoth kind of thing. So if you want to throw that into the mix, you've got that too. A big walking living tank almost.
Oh,
So,
look at that.
So you can
And
feel it without
magnifies
this bit.
the Howdah.
Oh.
yeah.
Oh, I want that.
I completely forgot that he was there as well.
Yeah. Oh, he's very small. I can see why.
I'd so put that in a game of Star Wars Legion as well. But
Yeah.
It's covered
Yeah.
in Jawas.
forget that bit.
There you go.
Yeah, let's stick a load of Jawas on
I
it.
think a load of Jawas on it, or maybe a
a
Gamorrean
very
guard or
overly
three.
fed dewback or something.
That's it.
Yeah. And then finally, they also do have a bundle option, which will allow you to get everything that they're doing in October. And as a special sort of bonus for the bundle, you can also get that Orc Tiger Wagon tank as well, which is
Love
pretty
it.
cool. So yeah.
Love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
What'd you get in the bundle? Is this the bundle then?
The bundle
so it
is
just goes through
literally everything,
Yes.
but both Stompers, all the
everything we
things,
just
all the
looked at.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
yeah,
not a
as I
cheap
say,
bundle.
No.
Oh, it's not a cheap bundle, but it's full of really cool stuff.
Yeah. And obviously you get that bonus tank in there if you want to just
yeah.
get into it and build
Oh.
your big orc army. So yeah.
Okay. Pumpkin.
Yeah, that's their sort of Halloween version of for this year as well, which is cool. So yeah.
Oh yeah, t-shirt.
You get t-shirts too. You can be a full orc and go all weird and use their accent
Well,
and everything.
nobody
It
does
works.
Orktober like Kromlech. You know,
Very true.
they are the masters of Orktober.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Right. Next up, with the Le Grognards
Mhm.
are up for pre-order now.
Yeah, so the kit that we have featured in the past in the news and that kind of thing is now available for pre-order. It'll go live for general release in December, but you can get your orders in now from the guys at Board Games Atlantic. This allows you to build either command elements for your Le Grognard army or the heavy weapons. So on the heavy weapon front, since we're looking at that picture of the stuff now, you can build a tri-barrel cannon, a quad-ball turret, a heavy plasma weapon, and a mortar, which is code for the things that you could build in a 40k army. And then there's also the option to build some stuff for your command section of your army as well. So if you want to use this to build your characters, you can build snipers, medics, communication specialists, standard bearers, and field officers, some of which are pictured there. They have also said that plastic sprue, as you might imagine, is entirely sort of combinable. That's not a word.
Yes. No,
With the rest of the Le
with you.
Grognard stuff. So if you've got their traditional kits for the Le Grognard, you can mix that all together. And they've also said that there's some new head options in there too. So as well as being able to attach gas masks to a lot of the helmets and stuff, you can also find 4 female heads in there as well for making a little bit more of a mixed up unit as well. If you want.
Coolio.
Very cool.
Love it. Right, last piece of news for this week is Hero Quest is now available in the UK
Yes.
via Xavi. It's also
Yes.
available in Australia and New Zealand, which it was a couple of weeks ago, to be honest. That's old news. But it is in the UK. There's only one tier available, which is the top tier, the Mythic tier, and it's £150 sterling and £3 shipping.
Yeah.
So
So as Warren was just saying, now you can pick up the Mythic tier version of Hero Quest. So that's the one that comes with the core game by Hasbro and Avalon Hill, obviously, that's been updated with the new miniatures, as we've probably waxed lyrical about.
Is
on
it this
shows
bundle
before.
here then we're looking at?
So
is
that's
that-
the core box that you get.
Yeah.
you get
And
2
then you also get the alternative versions of the heroes with the Mythic tier version. Those are the standard ones. If you keep scrolling down, you'll see the alternate versions of them through that kind of pulse scheme that they've got going on, their sort of fundraiser.
Yeah.
So you've got female versions and male versions swapped around for some of the different characters, which is cool. And then you'll also get the 2 expansions based again on the original expansions from Hero Quest. Now I know you guys have already talked about this at great length,
We have.
but from my
you
own
weren't here.
2
You've
cents,
got something to say.
I've got something to say, right? Okay. Hero Quest is great, fantastic, lovely game. If you enjoy it, more power to you. But
It's not as good as Warren's version though.
yeah, it's not as good as Warren's version. And also, I so wish that Restoration Games had got the chance to do this, because I think they would have done a much better job of making this an accessible game for the new age. They would have updated HeroQuest and done something new with it, just like they've done for the other games in the past. Sure, it's fine that you're making this retro version of HeroQuest, but as many people have said in the comments across everything we've ever talked about this, they've said, I picked up HeroQuest and started playing it again. It was bollocks. It's like, and it is. The rules don't stand up and anything like that. And I'm sure this will be lovely for you if you wanted to get that lovely nostalgic hit. Basically what it is.
Strange,
so, yeah.
because I'm with you and not with you at the same time. I get zero nostalgia hit from it. It's Hasbro have taken it a direction to make it hip. So it's falling between the cracks now. It's neither. It's
I'm
neither.
with you on that.
Yeah,
because I look at that and I think I should be getting all the feels, and I get no feel.
It's left me stone cold. Like for example, the £3 million or the $3 million stretch goal, Ben.
Yeah,
a bard.
Yeah, I know.
What is a bard doing in HeroQuest? But it's because bards are trendy, and it's not even the proper HeroQuest bard, big beardy, lovely dude that I just want to make love to all night long. It's not even him.
They should have made it him. Yeah,
it's trend. It's a trendy hipster bard. It has zero feel of HeroQuest at all. It's like they don't understand what this game represents. They don't understand the vibe of this game. So they fall through the cracks. They've neither captured the retro, okay, nor have they, in my opinion, have they taken it far enough for it to actually be a worthwhile game in its own right in this generation.
Yeah, which is why I was saying that I really wish that Restoration had a chance to do something in this ilk. Maybe they will in the future. It doesn't seem like they're going to be able to, but I just feel like it's such a wasted opportunity for such an iconic game to have effectively just been redone. And it's like, okay, that's fine, but
the bit that needed redone was the rules. The game is utter bollocks. It is crap. Look, the game is crap.
Think about the target audience for the game, though. The game originally was aimed at like 10-year-olds, so it needed to be simple enough that a 10-year-old could play it.
Aye, they're simple, and then there's crap.
But all the 10-year-olds aren't 10 anymore. We're all in our 40s and 30s and whatever.
Hang on a second. I have a 10-year-old, okay, and she would consider it crap. Okay, it is just garbage. The rules don't stand up by today's standards. There are better mechanics. There's ways of making it more interesting and a more dynamic game. This is what I don't understand. They tinkered with the rest of it, but the bit that needed the rethink was left entirely untouched. Now you could turn around and say, well, it's no longer HeroQuest. Damn right. It's HeroQuest 2.0.
But you could have just released a book and said, here are the original rules, and here is a new set for you to also try.
I wouldn't even have bothered. with the original.
But it addresses that gurn of, I just wanted the original.
But anybody who wanted the original, and I'm going to put my hands up here, we have means of getting it. Okay? You can buy it on eBay, but there's also the ways you could 3D print it, and a lot of the old rule books and stuff are available on Yield In for you to download and browse through. There is no
but you don't want that. You don't want to just browse an online book. You want to be able to smell it.
I got mine for £2.50 from a charity store.
I bet you it smelled a lot.
But this was an opportunity. This was an opportunity to bring it bang up for a new generation. But it is so shallow, is the word that I suppose that I'm looking for. It is so shallow. It is so lightweight in how that they've approached this piece of what I think is a godly piece of intellectual property. Okay, and looking through the stretch goals and things like that, it has been more about how do we make it acceptable, how do we make it a little bit hip, how do we make it a little bit? What do you call Matt Mercer's crowd? Critical Role.
Whoa.
No, well, that's it. Look. It's Critical Role. I love them, okay, but this is a very shallow attempt to try and marry it into that kind of.
You could,
faith,
if you're playing devil's advocate on that front, you could say that they're trying to make it so that obviously you buy it to play HeroQuest, but then you can use all the stuff after you've played HeroQuest to play your D&D games and that kind of thing.
There should never have been a bard in it. That was a bollocks move.
Let's see him. Let's see the bard.
That was the straw that broke the mind's back.
Look, apologies. There's also a half-orc bard.
That's not even the worst.
I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt that it's a half-orc. It might be a full orc bard. In which case, what is a full orc bard doing in a combat game when your sole purpose is to kill all the orcs? I don't get it. I just
he's
don't
got
get
groovy
it.
boots. You're not going to kill him. Look, I can't even click him. That's as big as that picture gets.
Yeah.
For goodness sakes, Hasbro.
Little tiny indie company doesn't make
look at that.
Yeah.
You want to unlock that 3 million and won't even show me a big pick. Where's the big pick? For goodness sakes.
I'll finish by saying, right, if you wanted to get this and you're going to have fun with it, more power to you. I'm never going to game shame anybody for doing that. But for my own personal opinion, I just wish that something a little bit extra had been done to kind of make it a bit wow. And a bit
We're
special.
not here to game shame people that want to enjoy it. Please enjoy it. But we are here to hold Hasbro and companies to account.
Yeah.
This is a lightweight, a lightweight attempt. I find it extraordinary just how shallow this attempt at this has been. I find it extraordinary. It's like nobody involved in it, and they have the original writers and all in there, but nobody that is involved with it. I just don't think they get it. I just don't think they get it at all. Right.
Oh wait, just before we go though.
Cool dungeon.
Just before we go though, if anybody's looking the original, Ben will be scalping his this weekend.
Yes.
Look in the
There's
show
only
notes.
4 painted miniatures of it. So.
Right. We got a chance. I say Jerry got a chance to have a sit down with Leo because Mythic Games are bringing their dungeon crawler to Kickstarter. It's Darkest Dungeon. We've had a little chance to play around with it, and there's some really fascinating mechanics in this. It's quite a different take on dungeon crawling, and I'm really digging where they're going with it. So, yeah, Jerry, sit down with Leo.
Ruin has come to our family. You remember our venerable house? Opulent and imperial. It is a festering abomination. Corruption has soaked the soil, sapping all good life from these groves. Let us burn out this evil. Paths and roads bring soldiers and supplies. Let them arrive unharried. Despite its morbid aspect, this twisted, cavernous maze seems almost traversable. A moment of respite. A chance to steel oneself against the coming horrors. Alone in the woods or tunnels, survival is the same. Prepare, persist, and overcome. Another abomination, cleansed from our lands. Death waits for the slightest lapse in concentration. In truth, I cannot tell how much time has passed since I sent that letter. This squalid hamlet, these corrupted lands, they are yours now. And you are bound to them. I beg you, deliver our family from the ravenous, clutching shadows of the darkest dungeon.
Hello, everybody. Today I'm joined by Leo from Mythic Games, and we're going to be exploring the Darkest Dungeon, which is your upcoming Kickstarter. So, Leo, pleasure to have you on the show, I suppose, even though you're separated from us in time and space.
Exactly, yes. But we can still speak, and I'm very happy to be with you.
So the big news, you started dropping hints a little while ago and on Face page and your website. We've started to see bits and pieces appear from the Darkest Dungeon. So you're taking this from the virtual realm and onto the tabletop. So do you want to tell us a bit about your plans for the Darkest Dungeon then?
Yeah, well, the plans for the Darkest Dungeon, we're going to launch on Kickstarter on the 20th, so it's very, very soon. It's going to be it's very, very exciting campaign. I mean, we've been working a lot on this project, and it's, yeah, we are extremely excited because it's such a wonderful IP. It's such a wonderful universe. It's obviously a famous video game, but we want to appeal to everybody. We want to appeal to people who even don't know about the video game. The reason why the video game was successful is also a reason to make it successful for tabletop players. So what we want to do is do this Kickstarter campaign. We want to offer a great board game with very exciting miniatures because they look different from what you usually have. And we'll do lives, we'll exchange with people. We have many surprises for this campaign, and we hope it will be a success.
Sounds fantastic. Do we want to start with some of the miniatures then? Because like you say, they are a little bit different from the usual affair. They have a very, I suppose, striking.
Yes. Well, as you can see, they have different proportions, and we really wanted to respect the artistic direction that was done on this wonderful video game. So they have a great artistic director called Chris Bourassa, and we literally tried to replicate the proportions and in the miniatures. So as you can see, the heads, the hands and the weapons are a bit oversized, but not too much. It's not like super deformed. It's not like chibi. It's a style. The feet are small. And when you look at a miniature, you want big weapons. You want big face because it makes them more easy to read them, to see them on a tabletop. So we kept these proportions, and we even, when we painted them, we even kept the way it's drawn, you know, like these dark eyes that you can't see, lots of black in the miniature. So you can see that, again, see big hands, big weapons, big head, small feet, and you don't care about feet for a miniature. So all of the important things you need to see on a miniature are there. And I think it gives them a unique style that you don't see anywhere else. And I think it will really help for the immersion and the character that this game can have.
So talking about the game then, as I scroll through these, it's essentially an RPG. But what's the world it inhabits? Because this is one I've not come across. I'm aware that the Darkest Dungeon exists, but I've never looked near it.
Yeah, it's a roguelike RPG dungeon crawler. So this is exactly what this game is about. So it's about, you know, you have this RPG aspect because you have these characters that go into dungeons, that level up, and that you try to make survive. It's a roguelike. You generate dungeons. Death is forever. I mean, if you're dead, you're dead. You can't come back. And it's a dungeon crawler because you have dungeons to explore, and you add this on the table. So it's a very particular kind of game, a very popular one on video games, but you don't have that many roguelike dungeon crawler RPGs on the tabletop. and we really try to bring this sort of emotions in this game. And not only are we happy about the style of the game, the thematic, but we love the universe. The universe is absolutely incredible and very compelling, very original, and very, very, it resonates, you know, it resonates in us. And with our games, we always want to tell a story, to immerse people into a strong universe, and this is definitely the case for this one.
So, having had a look at some of the miniatures there, are those the initial character classes that people will be seeing? Yeah, well, in the core game, you will have 8 characters to choose from. Mm-hmm. Yes, so this one is the Highwayman. So he's a, they're all sorts of dark characters. They're not like great heroes. They're more like anti-heroes, you know? So this one is a damage dealer. He can do damage both in close distance or at range. So he's an iconic character. He's one of the 2 characters you start with in the video game. So we will have 8 characters. Why 8? To start with in the core box, because you play with 4 characters in this game. So it's a cooperative game, right? So it's a dungeon, but you don't need a game master. It will be generated automatically. And so you need to have 4 characters. So if you're 4 players, each player will play 1 character. If you're less than that, well, some players will play more than 1 character. Mm-hmm. And it plays in a campaign. It plays in a campaign made of 11 episodes. So you have 3 episodes for a level 1 dungeon, for level 1 dungeons, sorry. Sure. The last dungeon being the boss dungeon. So you have to defeat the boss at the 3rd level, or at the 3rd quest of the level 1 dungeons. Then you have level 2 dungeons, so 3 quests and a boss to defeat. And then you have the level 3 dungeons with 3 quests and a boss to defeat. And then finally, you can enter the darkest dungeon, which is what you can see here. Mm-hmm. You enter the darkest dungeon and you face horrors. I mean, literally horrors. I will tell you what all this is about because there's a nice background. And when you enter the darkest dungeon, you want to be at your peak. You want to be at your full level. You want to be ready to face what's there. So this is why it's important to complete your quest as good as possible, as best as possible, so you level up enough and you're ready to face the monstrosities that are in the darkest dungeon. And then, so for the final 2 quests, you have first just a normal, well, if you can call it normal, quest in the darkest dungeon, and then you have to defeat the ultimate boss and understand what this is all about, right? So, yeah, so why 8 characters? Because you start with 4 characters, then you have 2, let's call it extra lives. So these are heroes that can replace your dead and departed, and unfortunately I must say that this will probably happen in your games eventually, in your campaign. And then if you level up, because you have what is called a Hamlet phase, where you can go to different buildings or places and level up or replace 1 character or try to alleviate your stress or things like that. So you start with 2 extra lives, and if you upgrade, I think it's the stagecoach, then you can have up to 4 extra lives. So in total, you will play with 8 characters at the maximum. If you lose more than 4 characters, if you at any time during your campaign you're less than 4 heroes, then you have lost the campaign and you can start it again. And it's not a problem to, it plays as a campaign, but it's really not a problem to start again a campaign, because each campaign will always be very, very different from each other. The replayability is huge. Here you can see a setup taking place obviously in the darkest dungeon, where you have these little horrors that you can see. They're a delightful looking group.
Exactly. So one of the originality of this game is that you only play at any time on just one single dungeon tile.
Yes.
You generate your dungeons and you will go through corridors, you will face many different dangers, but when it gets to battle, you only draw one tile and play on it. And this is different from what you usually have in dungeon crawlers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that was, we got the chance to play through a virtual game recently, and it was interesting to build up in that, because you're in the video game, it's 2D side on, and people have a very specific order they're in. But when you're playing on a 3-dimensional version on the board, it changes the mechanics of how that works, but at the same time you've managed to keep that priority, the push and the pull from the video game in there. So for example, the highwayman with his range 2, if somebody is too close, then he can't use that, because just like the game, he can only strike things 2 steps away from him, essentially. So it was interesting seeing how those aspects have been pulled out and recreated on the tabletop, as opposed to just the virtual game, I suppose.
Exactly, yes. And it makes for something very original and unique. You know, these aspects, this position, the stances, you have the order, you are, on the video game, it's 2D, so all the mechanics are based on, you know, your stance, your order,
yeah.
And it's translated into the board game and makes it something different from what you usually have for games. And at the same time, it's not literally just the video game mechanics that have been copied or mimicked. It's different. It's something new to explore, even for the video game fans. You have this 3D, you have these tactical choices to make on your board. And so it really makes it different and exciting and new also.
Yeah, it does still feel like the game, because I've had a crash course foisted upon me by friends who played the Darkest Dungeon, explaining bits and pieces. One of the things I was asked to ask, funnily enough, is in the video game version, you can have multiple characters or heroes, I suppose, in your stables. You could have 2 plague doctors, or you could have 2 crusaders. Is that going to be in the board game, or are you going for a straight?
No, you're not going there, for a simple reason. The flow of the game is different in a video game and on a board game. You play a campaign, and you need to feel like you have to be ready on time. You can't take all your time, and there is a restriction on heroes. In the video game, when a Vestal A dies, you can hire a new Vestal.
Yes. In
the board game, you only have one type of each character class, and then if they are dead, they're dead. You won't have them anymore, and it makes you feel this pressure that we wanted to keep in the game. So, of course, you're gonna choose what we decided when you choose your first 4 characters. You choose them among all the ones you have. So if the Kickstarter is successful and we unlock some stretch goals, there will be more heroes to choose from. Maybe we will add, well, I want to keep some surprises for the Kickstarter campaign, but maybe we will add some new heroes also in some expansions. You don't have to buy them, and we won't put too many. I mean, maybe just 1 hero per expansion should be enough. And you choose the 4 heroes out of all of the ones that you have, and when you lose a hero, you immediately replace him or her with a new hero among all the ones you have. You won't have to be forced to choose between those 2 taken at random. You see, so it's a little less frustrating to do that, rather than say, well, you can't have the Vestal anymore or the Highwayman, and you have to replace him or her by these 2 characters that were taken at random. It won't be the case. You will always have the choice to choose whichever hero you want. You can tailor your
party to a certain extent then. Yeah, that's nice. So speaking about the campaign then, what sort of plans have you for the campaign? Obviously, we're going to get that lovely board game with the 8 basic characters in it, but you're talking about expansions. I know Darkest Dungeon's been going for almost 5 years now, and they've added layer upon layer on there. So what sort of plans have you for the Kickstarter?
Well, the idea, and it also will depend on the success of the campaign, but the idea is to cover everything. So either through expansions or through stretch goals. This is what we want to do. So the good thing is that it's really optional, because you can only play with the core box and you will have a great experience no matter what. But if you want to change the environments, if you want to have different environments, then this is where the add-ons or the stretch goals come. So just to literally for the stretch goals, we will have 2 pledge levels. We will have the basic pledge level that will take place in the ruins, which is the most iconic environment for Darkest Dungeon.
Sure.
That means you could play your campaign in just the ruins, plus, of course, the Darkest Dungeon at the end, which is a very different and unique environment. And we will also have what we will probably call the Crimson Pledge. So the Crimson Pledge will offer you the core pledge, well, the Dungeon Pledge. We're going to call it the Dungeon Pledge and the Crimson Pledge. So the Dungeon Pledge, or the core box, if you want, plus the Crimson Court expansion, which is a DLC, a famous one that was released for Darkest Dungeon, and that brings a new environment and especially some new iconic villains and monsters, which are the vampires, and very strange looking vampires because they look like mosquitoes, and you know, vampires, they are highly dressed, and the miniatures are so incredible. So this will be the 2 pledge levels that you want, that you can have. If you go with the Crimson Pledge, then you will have another environment. That means you will play at least in 3 environments. And then we will probably have some expansions covering one specific environment. And again, this will be completely optional. If you don't buy the expansion, you can still have a great fun and lots of replayability, because there are so many monsters, so many different tiles, so many heroes already, plus the stretch goals and everything. That will be very nice. And I can also mention something about the stretch goals in particular. We want to do something a little different from what we've done so far, because there are different expansions and so many characters you can have, and you can't put everything in one expansion. It also has to be depending on the success, again, of the campaign. What we will probably do is have stretch goals that will go in the Dungeon Pledge, so the core pledge, and obviously, of course, immediately for the Crimson Pledge. But then you could have some stretch goals that are specific to some expansions. However, we don't want to frustrate our backers, so we will probably do double stretch goals. That means if we unlock a stretch goal with a miniature that goes to a specific expansion, we will also have a stretch goals for the core box so that everybody benefit from it. Of course, if you didn't buy the expansions, you will not have the specific stretch goal expansion, but at least that means everybody will be happy, and this is also a good way to change and to make something new, and to make sure that we can do as many stretch goals as we want, and cover as many things as we can from the video game.
Yeah, especially it helps where people aren't feeling like they have to go for the biggest pledge, or they're going to be missing out massively. The fact that they're still going to get stretch goals.
They will always, everybody, they will always have stretch goals. And so as the campaign goes on, everybody will benefit from the success of the campaign, and not just if you bought this or that expansion.
I've also been asked to ask, will there be a miniatures only pledge, or is it just going to be the core games?
I don't think so, because really, when you look at the price and what we've done, the material we will offer, I mean, this project obviously could never be done out of Kickstarter. I mean, there's too much material, too much things. We couldn't do it on retail. This is also something important to mention. This will be a Kickstarter exclusive Kickstarter. You know, it won't go to retail. Simply impossible. We've tried. We've looked at the prices, and you know, the margins, if you wanted to go to retail, would mean that the game could only be sold at $300 or $400, which is impossible. So we'll make it Kickstarter exclusives. So when you look at the price per box, be it the core box, the Crimson Court, all the others, the price per mini is really low. And I mean, if people are just interested in the minis, but not necessarily the game, even if they just bought the regular box, it would still be a very good deal. So we're not going to do, probably not going to do a miniatures only pledge. Now, of course, if we receive tons and tons of messages asking for it, we could reconsider. As you know, we always listen to the community, and sometimes we make changes. We change our plans according to what is expected. But so far, it's not planned.
Well, that's all right. As long as people know in advance, they can make their own decisions then.
Absolutely.
So very briefly then, because we haven't really touched on how the game plays out so much, and I think it'd be interesting for people to get an idea of what actually is involved, because in the video game you have gold, you buy your equipment, you buy your provisions, you send your group into a dungeon, and then they can do whatever it is they need to do and either complete that dungeon or retreat, essentially. And those core concepts have been brought into the board game. You don't buy provisions. Your gold is spent on better things like skills and experience, but there are provision mechanics, and what you take into the dungeon with you is important. And then even what happens in a dungeon, you don't have to complete them, but once the dungeons are gone, they're gone. So all of these ideas from the video game have been brought through to the tabletop game. So if you can just give us a sort of a run through.
Yeah. As you said, we wanted to bring everything that is important and iconic in the video game back to the board game, but without making this tedious. You know, the video game calculates everything automatically. So if you brought everything back into the board game, then you would always spend all your time, you know, calculating. So as you said, the provisions will be dealt with provision dice that you roll. You can see these are the white dice that you can see. So at the beginning of a normal quest, you roll 2 dice per player, and you know, some dice will tell you, okay, we've got bandages, we've got potions, we've got food, we've got shovels, we've got torches. And then you have a DD, which is Darkest Dungeon, which is a wild side, and that means you can choose the side you want. And so all this is collected, and this is the common pool of provisions for the whole group. And then when you explore the corridors, the halls, not the rooms themselves, you have to face some dangers, and you can either decide to use one of these dice to counter the bad effects.
Sure.
Or you can decide to save them for later, because the group will need it for later, and just take the penalty, which could be wounds, which could be stress, which could be any such thing, like you receive a courier and you have all the negative aspect of this courier, things like that, you know. So, and at the end of the dungeon, if you have food left, they are transformed into gold. I think it's 5 gold per unused provision dice. And this gold will be used, as you said, during the Hamlet phase to buy things, to level up your characters, or to level up the buildings in the Hamlet. So you still have a little bit of resource management to make, but a lot of like things, you don't buy provisions individually, you know, but what you can do is go to the Hamlet and decide, okay, I want extra dice for the next quest. So you spend time there, and it gives you extra provision dice and things like that. So
yeah,
you have the same things that's in the video game. It's just less tedious and a little faster also. So you don't.
I think
so
that's
this is one aspect.
key for the board game, really. I suppose that you don't want to be micromanaging every bit of gold and making sure everybody's got 20 provisions.
Once you know the rules, the game, the game mechanics, it's a dungeon is pretty fast. It's an hour and a half. That's it. And then so you could probably do 2 in you know, when you're used to it, not the first time. The first time you need to get the rules and to explain, and of course it also depends on the teammates you have around the table.
True,
because it's a bit like a role-playing game. You laugh at your other
you throw
friends.
Justin to the wolves, you know, whatever it might be.
So when they get a disease, you have fun, or you do something. Sometimes you're not nice to the others. You say, "Oh no, I will use this provision dice. I don't care what you say," because you can. You don't need the consent of people. It's a cooperative game, but decisions are made really individually, and you don't need the approval of the others. So it makes it gives a little bit of atmosphere and into the game, and it's,
if you have the priority and you're hurting, you can just go ahead and take all the potions to
if you want to,
regardless of what the rest of your party think.
Exactly.
I didn't do that. Justin did that.
And that happens, and that makes fun. So there's a lot of atmosphere, a lot of fun around the table usually with this game, and people are hooked from their very first game on. They're hooked, and it's a fun game. It's not a simulationist game. It's really about the sort of atmosphere you have in role-playing games or RPGs. This is more RPGs than role-playing game.
Sure.
And this is these sort of games.
I'm with you on that 100%. We did have a lot of fun with it, and well, in the past, from when people will see this interview, but tomorrow for me, I'll be going to actually play the prototype copy. So I think Warren's been disinfecting everything and making masks up for us so we can all sit in a room together and play it. And I'm looking forward to actually getting my hands on it, because it was a really engaging and very easy game to get into. But once you get into it, there is so much to do with that.
There are a lot of variables. There are a lot of variables in this game, which makes, we didn't want it to be repetitive. In the video game, you always do the same, but you manage your characters. There's so many things that can happen that it's never quite the same. And it will be the same with the board game. There are many different variables. You have like curios, which are special magical objects. You have quirks, negative quirks, positive quirks. You have trinkets. You have to manage your stress. You have your wounds. You have your gold. You have your experience. You have tons of different tiles and battle and layers, and even the same tiles can have like a card with different special rules on it, so it adds for replayability. And then if you add the different environments, you have plenty of different environments. When you generate a dungeon, it will never be the same because of the mechanics of how it works. You draw a tile that gives you the map of the dungeon, and then you draw some room tokens, you mix them up and you put them randomly on the face, so it will always be different. And then add the tons of different monsters that you have and that you draw randomly, plus the special rule that the boss gives you for each quest. The replayability is huge. You will never have 2 times the same dungeon. That's impossible. Plus, you can also play a different party. You can have different characters in your party. So it's really very the replayability is really high.
And even if you have the same party going in, but little things like the party go in a different order changes where people will end up on the board, and all of a sudden,
even if you have the same party, when you start at the beginning of your quest, you choose, if you're level 1, you choose 3 skills out of 7 that your character has. And I can guarantee you that just changing one skill changes completely the way you play this character.
Yeah.
It totally changes the way he or she plays. And that's the same if you change a character, that's, the different characters play completely differently, and the different skills make it very, very different. And the skills can level up independently. You can level up your characters up to 3. You can level from level 1, 2, or 3, but that's the same for your 7 skills. They can level up individually from level 1 to level 3. And during a campaign, you will not be able to level up all of your skills. It's impossible. You will have to make choices, and so it also adds to replayability. The purpose is also to find the best party, the best combinations, and it will take time before you find the best way. And it also depends on your play style. Some people will like something different, more cautious, and some people will like to get there.
Warren, you're talking about Warren now.
Yeah.
Some people will be Warren, and they will charge. They will charge everything all the time. But I mean, and even in that, it's fascinating because
he would use probably the Hellion.
He did use the Hellion. I don't know if he'll be using the Hellion again next time. That's probably why it's in my mind. But one of the things we were told when we were playing was certain bosses. For example, I think we were playing the Necromancer the first time round, and the Necromancer, as you play through that deck, humans start to be burned out of the deck. Essentially, you won't see as many, whereas the unholy undead will start to repeat, so the deck stacks in their favor, which means the skills you take, if you're bringing skills that cause bleed, but all you're facing are undead who are immune to bleed, then those skills aren't going to help you. So between
skeletons
games,
do not bleed.
between games, you're having to think about, okay, well, what skills do I need going back into the next dungeon? And
exactly, that's another interesting point you raise, is that the boss that you choose or that you pick up randomly at the beginning of your quest, of your 3 quests per level, will influence the whole 3 quests. And as you said, the Necromancer, when the Necromancer, during a Necromancer quest, all of the monsters that are not unholy, like normal humans or beasts or anything that is not unholy, will be taken out of the monsters deck. So as you progress in your quest, not only the first one, but the others, you meet more and more skeletons and undead and just unholy creatures. And you're right, you have to adapt to this and choose the appropriate skills. Skeletons do not bleed, so trying to use this is not going to help you.
Yeah.
And then you have some other, all bosses have special rules that will influence your quest in the dungeon, but also in the hamlet. For instance, the Necromancer will block the graveyard. So you can't go and mourn on the graves of the departed, of your friends who have died, and just be buffed for the next expeditions. You simply can't go there. But then another one will do something different. I know the Prophet, you see visions of him and the torture chamber, and you enter the quest with 3 stress immediately, something like that. So
that's delightful, isn't it? Well, I look forward to never meeting him ever. So the Kickstarter itself starts on Tuesday the 20th. And how long is it due to run for, Leo?
We want to run it for 17 days, which is a little more than the recent ones, but not as long as the longest ones we had. Sure. I mean, there's a lot of things to say on this during this campaign, and we want a nice campaign with plenty of surprises, and we want to be able to present the different expansions. We won't show everything first day. The first day you will only see the 2 pledge levels that I mentioned, and then we will wait until we show some expansions before we give the all-in bundle. So yes, so it's 17 days, which means it will end on November 6th.
That sounds fantastic. Well, folks, if you've any questions about Darkest Dungeon, definitely get over. There's a Facebook page specifically for it that Mythic have set up, where they've been showing off some of the concept art you've seen here, along with some of the miniatures, and also little bits of the background lore and text. So it's fascinating. Next week, we'll have that Let's Play that will be going out on Tuesday. So on the launch day, about the same time the Kickstarter goes live, you'll be able to see the three of us clattering around the place, and Leo will hopefully be on hand in a virtual way to steer us in the right direction. So
Exactly.
Leo, it's been a pleasure. If you have any questions, drop them down below, and I'll try and get Leo to answer them as best he can. Until then, bye-bye.
Does Warhammer 40k rock your world? Check out store.ontabletop.com today, where you can save up to 20% across a wide range of hobby games, tools, and paints, including Warhammer 40,000, Age of Sigmar, Star Wars, Flames of War, Bolt Action, and many other incredible ranges. We are based here in Northern Ireland and rated 5 out of 5 on Trustpilot.
Okay, so yeah, fascinating to see what they're doing and how they're going about making that 2D video game into an interesting take on a dungeon crawler. So there's, like I say in the video, we've got a Let's Play coming on the day of release. So Tuesday the 20th, we'll have a Let's Play up and the Kickstarter goes live. So yeah, if you're a Darkest Dungeon fan, watch this space.
Looking forward to that. Right, Kickstarters. Benno, what do we got?
So we've got two Kickstarters to check out today. Both of them are, again, different takes on dungeon crawling in a way, which is pretty cool. So dungeon crawl seems to be very much the flavor of the month right now. The first of these is Ambush Epic from Dark Doors Entertainment. We have talked about them in the past before, but this is them returning to Kickstarter with their semi-cooperative dungeon delving card game, where you're going to be playing as various heroes who are trying to get down into the dungeon and battle all the monsters and come out with the most glory. However, you're also trying to screw over your friends at the same time. One of the cool things about this is that everyone's going to be taking on the role of individual and very unique characters that have very different ways of playing. But what you'll be doing on your goes is you'll be drawing monsters from a deck, and then you'll be deciding whether or not you're going to be able to fight them or if you're going to force them onto other players. So maybe you'll come up against a lowly orc or something, and I can easily get rid of him and I can survive and carry on to the next one. Maybe you come up against a dragon pretty early on. Maybe you want to foist that onto some of your other companions to make sure that they get taken down instead of you. That's the way we go with this game. Got a little bit of a sort of cutthroat caverns feel to it. If you remember that game from Smirk and Dagger back in the day.
Yeah,
a lot of the
best games are the games in which you screw your friends.
Well, yes.
Not that we're all thinking Justin, but we're all thinking Justin.
We are all thinking Justin, yeah. But yeah, so the game actually focuses on sort of dice management. You'll be rolling poly dice. So anyone who plays Dungeons and Dragons and that kind of thing, you'll be familiar with those, D20s down through to D6s and stuff. And you'll be using those dice in order to activate powers on your players' character sheets to strike at your enemies. And you'll be also trying to make sure that you sort of manage the sort of use of those throughout your games alongside the equipment and stuff that you pick up so that you can try and use them at the best times for you. So it's got sort of a little bit of an element of sort of push your luck to it as well. Throughout the game itself, you'll have the ability to play on different difficulty levels. There's also the option to not only just fight monsters, but also fight against other players. So if you think you actually want to try and get your back on someone for foisting a monster onto you, you can go and try and attack them instead if you want to, which is really cool. The other thing that's quite good about this, and something that I really enjoy for something that's so cutthroat, is that there's no player elimination. If you get killed, you're not out of the game. All of your equipment resets and all of your sort of abilities are sort of reset, and you sort of soldier on from the beginning again, trying to come back into the dungeon to fight. So you're not out of it, even if you get pushed down a trap into a trapped pit or something by your friends, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
As well as the sort of core game, which works for 1 to 4 players, there's also an expansion that's available as part of this as well, which has a kind of slightly sort of more Cthulhu cultist vibe to it as well, which is really nice. And again, that comes with a whole bunch of additional characters, all of which are unique and have their own different player powers and that kind of thing as well. So a really interesting one to go and check out if you like your card-based dungeon delving adventures. Maybe, as I say, you've played something like Cutthroat Caverns in the past and you want something a little bit more updated and modern, then you can come check that out as well here too. There is a full PDF rulebook for you to go and read on their Kickstarter page. So if you want to go and learn more, you can do exactly that. So,
Awesome. So, guys, that is Ambush Epic, Dark Doors Entertainment. 13 days left on that one. Go and give it a trial. Next up, right now, the guys from Ludic Dragon Games This is Dungeon Universalis or Universalis. Yes.
Yes.
It's an enormous box of dungeons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so as you say, this is by the guys at Ludic Dragon, and this is a 1 to 6 player game. This is actually a reprint of the game because it was so popular. The amount of times they've had it out before already, but it's 1 to 6 player game where you'll be playing, as they call it, the definitive dungeon crawling board game. They've said that it combines together a lot of the sort of key elements of dungeon crawling board games that you've played in the past, but also introduces a lot more sort of role-playing game elements at the same time. One of the big things they've talked about is they've got sort of like a sandbox world for you to play in, and the sort of narratively driven campaigns that you can go on. But if you're more focused on the idea of maybe just playing a couple of games of a night, you can also go off and do sort of epic quests and sort of events that are sort of sidelined to the main plot, which I think is really cool. The plots and stuff that you can, the pledges and stuff that you can dive into for this include either everything or smaller portions of it if you already have previously printed versions of the game. And they've done this really nice thing, a little bit like with Gloomhaven, where the miniatures for the heroes are done as plastics, and also some of the bosses as well, but then all the monsters are done as standees. And one of the cool things about this as well that they've said is that while obviously you can use this to play things like Dungeon Universalis, you could also use this as effectively the basis for your Dungeons & Dragons collection at the same time if you wanted to. As you might have noted by the player count, which goes from 1 to 6, it can either be played solo or it can be played versus, so you can have one person playing as the Dungeon Master, or you can also play it entirely cooperatively as well. The game caters for all of those different sort of play styles. And on the top of all that, with this new version of the Kickstarter they got out this time around, which has about 3 days left from the time you're watching this, there's also the new Dungeon Basics rules, which have been added as part of the pledges, which allow you to get this onto the tabletop with younger gamers. So maybe if Dungeon Universalis is a little bit too much of a headache for sort of the younger ones around, you can get the Dungeon Basic rules out and play with those, and you'll be able to dive in and play and get straight into that. If you're interested in how the game plays, obviously because this game has already been out there in the world already, there are a plethora of videos for you to go and check out, which will take you through all of the core mechanics, how to start your campaigns, how to build scenarios, how to build your characters, and everything else that comes with the new version of this on Kickstarter right now as well. So it's definitely worth going to check out. If you're someone who loved the bombastic nature of things like Gloomhaven and stuff, then Dungeon Universalis is definitely something to go and check out.
Just the sheer extent of it just keeps going.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
they have so many
here.
tiles and everything. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, there is quite a lot in this box for you to get started.
If you want to, if you're picking up the get into it, like look how far up I got to scroll. I think there's a video up here that shows off like just the amount of stuff. Look at this.
It's extraordinary, isn't it?
Yeah. I think one of the key things about this as well, and I mentioned it sort of offhand before, but it's got that kind of narrative quality to it. So there's a lot of focus on the idea of storytelling and choices and development. So if you like that side of things built into your board games, then you've got that option there too.
And remember, folks, right? The other thing that this represents is basically a dungeon crawler construction kit, right?
Yes. Yeah.
You could pick this up and chuck the rule book out and just start to make it up as you go along with
if you really wanted to, yeah.
Kids, yeah. And that's what I love about this kind of big box thing, and I really like where they went with this. Is there's so many elements in this that you can just utilize to put together your own dungeon crawler. It's an extraordinary product, that one. It really
also
is.
Because the heroes and the bosses are the only plastic miniatures you need to paint, there's very little painting involved. And you could say, I've painted my entire board game. And people go, what? Well, there you go. There you go.
I mean, I didn't even get to the stretch goals. There's just so much of this.
Yeah, there is a lot to this campaign.
It's
definitely worth sort of pouring through and seeing what you think.
The art's really cool too when you see it up close like that. That's
is,
swish.
Well made.
And it's a reprint.
Yeah, so this is a reprint of the existing one. Yeah,
it's making a lot of money considering like it's not new. It is new, but it's not new. If you know what I mean.
Because Lloyd, whenever it came out, and other people saw just how good it was in the flesh.
Yeah,
it is a seriously good product. You know, I think when people saw it, I think they realized, oh yeah, I'm going to get in on this one. I really am.
It's a great
piece of design. Right, guys, that is Dungeon Universalis from Ludic Dragon Games. Only 3 days left on that one, so if you want to get in on that, get your skates on. And that is us for another weekend. Remember, you can come and join us tomorrow in the Cult of Games, and where the XLBS, where we'll be exploring.
Not tomorrow, the after.
Sunday.
Oh, Sunday. Yeah. It's a Friday night, and it's not Saturday morning anymore. Yeah, so Sunday, come and join us in the Cult of Games.
Oh, and
to the team.
Well, just before we go, remember, if you were in for that box of Indomitus last week, come on over to the website and check the prize claim center to see if you're a winner. And
the winner is in the prize center, so go and check and see if you won.
Remember to be in it to win it for that Orktober stuff. That that huge Stomper thing. Oh.
So yeah, competitions galore. Right, guys. Once again, thanks to the team, but most importantly, a thank you to all of you at home. Have a great week of gaming.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.